أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي اشدد به أزري واشركه في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. O Lord, provide us the goodness of this world and that which this world points to, and protect us from falsehood and wrongdoing. Ameen. وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Inshallah everybody's doing good. Happy Saturday. Thank you for your patience. Sorry for the delay. So we are continuing on today with the fourth ray on page 94. We left off last week going over the first few paragraphs that were really laying out the pointers on how I can really be convinced in that which I believe in. So we touched upon how, we are in need of security and certainty in our existence, and just concluding that there must be necessarily existent one is really what belief constitutes, because the rest then revolves around it. And so this was a continuation from the third point of the expounding from the Quranic verse, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakil, for us God suffices. He's the best disposer of affairs. And so we really emphasized a lot last week in terms of looking at our experiences and concluding the unnecessarily existent one, be convinced about it is really what constitutes belief. Otherwise, there's a lot of knowledge out there. I may be acquiring knowledge as well, but what's the use of this knowledge if it's not helping me be secure and certain in my existence? And what was interesting, where we left off last week, was how whatever qualities that are manifested within us, it's really a call to not only acknowledge the source of its existence, but it's also a way to call other conscious being to recognize the source of their existence. So I think that was an interesting pointer, because at every moment there's various arts that's displayed around us, within us, and it is as if we are models from a runway show or something. So we are wearing the designer's clothing. So not only are we exhibiting, displaying the art qualities of the designer for people to admire, but more so it becomes like a pride for the designer that, hey, we're recognizing this designer, that it is the one that's bringing everything into existence. So I think that was a very catchy analogy, at least for me, to sip on, if you will. And with this, let's continue on with the with this third last paragraph on page 94. Bismillah. Likewise, sufficient for me, for the rights of my life, are my understanding, the salutations of living creatures. Sufficient for me, for the rights of my life, are my understanding, the salutations of living creatures to the grantor of life, and my observation of them, and my testifying to them. So anything that we come across, we're always interacting with something. Living creatures, people, tree, birds, even your own perhaps respiratory system. We're always in connection with something. And so these are really display of the act of creation of a one that give existence. So the author uses here grantor of life. So we can take air as an example. So definitely our respiratory system working out is really an act of creation taking place every moment. And that's pointing to the one that's granting this to us. And it's definitely all of these things in existence, the objects and the qualities manifested in it, these are witnessing to a necessarily existent one that grants life. So it is as if everything is really knocking on the door of our consciousness. Hey, I'm not acting on my own. I'm acting on behalf of the one that's giving you and I life, existence. And so, whatever you observe is just a means for you to recognize and be proud of the owner of the universe, the grantor of your life, and everything else around us. So that would be it for this. Any comments from anyone on that little piece we just read? Ali Murmur, go ahead, please.
Can you understand from this paragraph that by using our life as an evidence that the other living creatures also give salutations, or they do their salutations through their life to the creator of life. What does it mean, their salutations? I wanted to understand, but it wasn't easy for me to understand. Unless I went back to the original text, the salutation is, right translation, but in Arabic, salutation comes from, is practically used. Everybody knows that salutation, for example, people present their salutations to the king. This is the famous example. Long live. They shout, long live the king, long live, this kind of salutation, because original word comes from the same root as life, tahiyya. So there is a play of words in the original text. Life means, in fact, a means of salutation, means presenting one's life or using one's life in order to confirm the life of the other ones. If I want a long life, I wish this is a stupid example, I'm sorry, but this is how the word is used in English. I wish a long life for the king. Of course, this text is nothing to do with the king at all. Just I'm using it as in order to explain the salutation comes from the same word in Arabic, tahiyya. All the people here understand that when we sit in tashahhud at the middle of or at the end of the prayer, we say at-tahiyyatu lillah. Certain people following certain tradition in Islam, they say at-tahiyyatu as-salawatu or at-tahiyyatu lillah was-salawatu. The combination is different, doesn't matter. At-tahiyyatu lillah, salutations to God, it means in English. But really, tahiyya comes from hayat, hay. Through the witnessing of my being alive, I witness to the absolute life of my Creator. That is salutation. As I can do this, I can recognize that other living beings also are doing this by demonstrating that their life is a witness, is a sign that their Creator is the grantor of life. And I can see it. That is how we should read the word. The paragraph has this mystery which is hidden in English.
Jazakallah khair. Very good point in terms of utilizing myself as a witness. I witness the grantor of life, and I'm really sending salutations to the source of my existence. Subhanallah. Who would have thought? This is amazing, I would say. And at the same time, utilizing other living creatures around me, I can also notice that they're also being witnessed to the source of their existence and grantor of life. Thank you. Any other comments from anybody? Okay. So, next paragraph. Likewise, sufficient for me for the rights of my life is my being adorned and made beautiful with the embossed jewels of his bounties. Sufficient for me for the rights of my life is my being adorned and made beautiful with the embossed jewels of his bounties. To present them consciously because of my belief to the view of the pre-eternal monarch. To present them consciously because of my belief to the view of the pre-eternal monarch. So again, taking myself as a witness. So we're really saying the different experiences and observation that can be sufficient for us to connect our existence to a necessarily existent one is also through everything that is bestowed onto us. We can say the different gifts, manifestations, and so we gotta use them with acknowledgement of their sender and because of my belief to the view of the pre-eternal monarch, because I think all this acknowledgement happens when one concludes a necessarily existent one who's absolute in nature. So an example of that would be, let's say I'm skilled in preparing a cake. And so the skill that's manifested definitely needs to be acknowledged and utilized as a witness to not only conclude a necessarily existent one who is absolute, but using this witnessing as a means to really being convinced of that which I believe in. So let's see if anybody else wants to add anything here. Okay. Although I was wondering also if we really focus in on the wordings that is presented in the text, it says likewise sufficient for me for the rights of my life. I was wondering what's the rights of my life. And it seems that our human nature necessitate connecting our existence to something that's not transient. And so that whole state of being lead us to conclude the necessarily existent one when we experience the universe. Okay. I'll just scan the room to see if anybody wants to add anything or something. All right, let's move on with the next paragraph on page 94. Ali Murmur, go ahead, please.
Now, this rights of my life it can be understood simply, also I understood simply the reality that my life presents to me, and to utilize it is giving the right of life to it. I mean, acknowledging its right, because it is given to me for a purpose. When I fulfill the purpose, of course, the right of my life is fulfilled. That's what I understood, the right of my life. I have to honor the function of life and do it as it is necessary or required from its own being with me. So I shouldn't waste it. For example, let's say I have a tomato in my house. The right of tomato is to be used for the purpose it was created. I have no right to let it go rot, or let it rot, or let's go old. And I have no right to waste it. The right of tomato to be used and utilized, and the tomato will fulfill its purpose, of course, materially, if I am used it materially, and the purpose in its existence, existentially, I have to acknowledge by using the tomato that its owner is a generous one, and also is a praiseworthy one, etc., etc. That is the extension of it. But we are talking about the rights of something, not to waste it. That is the Quranic language. We shouldn't waste our qualities. We have to utilize them in the way to fulfill their purpose of existence in me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying this. Definitely. So the rights of my life is really all the human abilities and qualities we're endowed with, which ought to be used, like you said, to connect our existence to its true purpose, or like we say, to fulfill the purpose of our existence, inshallah. Thank you. Anyone wants to make any comments? Any additions? Nope. All right, let's look into this one. Likewise, sufficient for me for life and its pleasures is my knowledge, realization, awareness, and belief that I am his slave, artifact, and creature, needy and wanting for him. I am his slave, artifact, and creature, needy and wanting for him. And he's my creator, compassionate to me, who nurtures and raises me munificently, graciously, through his bestowal as befits his wisdom and mercy. Likewise, sufficient for me for life and its pleasures is my knowledge, realization, awareness, and belief that I am his slave, artifact, and creature, needy and wanting for him. Maybe it should be from him. And he is my creator, compassionate to me, who nurtures and raises me munificently, graciously through his bestowal as befits his wisdom and mercy. Interesting. Yeah, I think all our interactions and experiences are given to us to make us realize that we are in need to be given existence. We are totally dependent on someone to give existence. So I'm just summarizing what I understand from slave, creature, needy. It's really that I'm totally dependent in my existence. And artifact is like a piece of art. How do you explain that? How do you explain all these myriads of qualities and feelings that we find ourselves with? And so definitely knowing all this makes us, awakens our consciousness that we are being nurtured and taken care of by a gracious host. And everything that we experience is nothing but his mercy and wisdom and justice. Otherwise, how do I explain anything that I encounter if it's not set up by a generous host of this universe? So I'll take a pause here and see if anyone wants to add anything or has anything that is lingering in their minds. Feel free to do that. Okay. Let's move on to the next paragraph. What's interesting though is how, again, if you carefully look at the wordings, it's saying sufficient for me for life and its pleasures, because definitely we are all, we benefit from whatever is given to us. Just take breathing, for example. It's pleasurable if we really take a moment and see what's going on within ourselves. But like it says, sufficient for me for life and its pleasure is my knowledge. So I know something, I know about something when I conclude, make logical conclusions about a necessarily existent one through the art manifested in it. Otherwise, if there's no qualities manifested here, then there's nothing for me to conclude. So definitely there's knowledge, and then from that knowledge, I kind of realize about creation around me, what's happening, and I become aware that there must be a source of existence, a necessarily existent one, and all of that is belief. So belief that I'm being taken care of, and being taken care of in a way that befits his wisdom and mercy. So I would say alhamdulillah at every moment. Okay, so let's move on to the next paragraph. Likewise, sufficient for me for life and its value is my being a measure through my absolute impotence, poverty, and weakness, to the degrees of the power of the absolutely powerful one. The degrees of mercy of the absolutely compassionate one, and the levels of strength of the possessor of absolute strength. So last paragraph sentence here on page 94. Likewise, sufficient for me for life and its value is my being a measure through my absolute impotence, poverty, and weakness, to the degrees of the power of the absolutely powerful one, the degrees of mercy of the absolutely compassionate one, and the levels of strength of the possessor of absolute strength. So interesting how I myself becomes like a criteria or unit of measurement to realize how weak and needy I am in my being. I'm really in need to be given existence. I don't control any of it. I cannot control aging. We are all decaying every moment. So this points to a necessarily absolutely powerful one who's got all this under control, who's got the whole universe under control, who's got the growth of your nails and hair, everything under control. So same thing, all of this also points to the mercy of compassionate ones. So if I'm not experiencing change, if I'm not experiencing decay, growth, transience, all of that can be really, it is transient, then I don't know. I cannot even explain anything then in the universe. So this is mercy. So experiencing change, growth, transience, and all that is mercy from a compassionate one. Otherwise, I'll be just in the middle of the ocean. I don't know, just chilling and looking at clouds passing by. and having my lemonade, but like, and then what? So definitely constant change, even with weather. You know, rain would come, then I'll be like, oh, let me get out of this ocean, right? Let me go and get shelter. So all these change that we experience, it's mercy, because then I get to know of a compassionate one who's really letting me know what my reality is and what suffices me at the end of the day. Okay, let's check in to see if anybody wants to make a comment. Ali Murmur, go ahead, please.
Just to keep the communication, make the room alive. Just previous paragraph, and this paragraph demonstrates that only through using our life as a criterion, as a measure, we realize that we are slave, it means worshippers or absolutely needy ones to the Creator. We are the art and we are the creatures of the one who provided us with the life. And here, using it as a measure, using the life as a measure, we understand that through life, if we didn't have life, we wouldn't understand anything, this kind of, although material I may exist. But without life, my human side doesn't function. So I can understand through my impotence that the life giver is the source of power. Through my poverty, life giver is the compassionate one, because he provides all the needs in order to satisfy my poverty, and also my weakness. I understand that he is the source of all power, all strength. These are all things or to my life. So life is the center of everything or every realization. So we have to really value life, and we shouldn't waste it. Use it properly. We can acknowledge the reality as it is, inshallah, hopefully.
Inshallah, we should definitely make use of life given to us here for its true purpose, to really fulfill the purpose of our existence, inshallah. Any additions from anybody? Ali Murmur, go ahead, please.
You said addition. Yes, I can add something. This matter is important, that in order to fulfill the requirements that I realize through life perfectly, full satisfaction that life presents to me, that I need this and this and this, gives me the opportunity to realize it. So what I understand from human reality, the body, life, and spirit. Life is in between. Now, from this existence, I understand that the spirit is has a so high value existence, it cannot be presented at all in any form of matter. But spirit uses life to use my body. So through bodily experience, I experience my whatever I read, whatever I am encountering in this world, through life, and spirit utilizes it or appreciates it and comes to a conclusion. Life itself doesn't realize, doesn't have this consciousness, but life is giving opportunity for my spirit, or providing the means for my spirit, for my human side to function and to realize. So consciousness belongs to my spirit. For example, today's technology in biology, in medicine, keeps the human beings in a vegetable life through life support machines. But vegetable life does not recognize anything at all, because life itself, although the person is still breathing, life itself cannot, doesn't have consciousness. He doesn't realize anything. So as far as I understand, it is a matter of dispute among the scholars, but my understanding is, if a person's spirit is taken away, the person is dead as a human being. Now a vegetable life continues. It is not life, human life. It is life, but it is not human life. It is vegetable life. So, of course, in Quranic teaching, if someone, or also in our experience, we realize that if someone doesn't use human qualities, but live as a vegetable, plant, and an animal, it means eating. Of course, vegetable life doesn't eat, but animal eats, breathes, and sees. But if the spirit doesn't function, life itself is a criterion, but the criterion needs to have an agent to be used. For example, the measurement itself doesn't measure anything, but conscious beings use it as a means to measure and understand how heavy, how long, etc. is the distance. From there, my conclusion is, in order to fulfill the function of the spirit and the promise in the existence of the spirit that the Creator provides us or gives us this promise in our existence, the next creation or another creation is necessary to satisfy the needs of the spirit, and this satisfaction is only possible through a body, but living body, a live body, so that the spirit will use it, utilize it in order to full satisfaction, receive the full satisfaction. So this measure now to be created, or must be created in another type of creation, must have the capacity, of course, must be given the capacity to be used according to the needs of the spirit. That's why spirit, the quality of the spirit, necessitates for any human logic another type of creation. It makes it necessary, because of the existence of spirit itself, makes it necessary that there must be another type of bodily living existence, so that it will allow the spirit to be satisfied. This is not possible here. There must be. Since I have spirit, since I am a human being, there must be a resurrection. It is impossible to deny one's reality.
Jazakallah khair, very good points. MashaAllah. Function of everything is really useful. I think through life, we utilize everything around us, including our body and spirit is conscious of what we desire on an eternal base, not definitely transient. Transience, the spirit is conscious of that, does not satisfy us. But as far as our vegetable life, animal life, and just life in general is concerned, we are subject to change and transience. But it's by utilizing all of this, does the spirit gets awakened and sprouts for recognizing its need for a non-transient or permanent, eternal, satisfactory, and secure abode, inshallah. Any more pointers from anybody? Okay, then let's continue on with the second paragraph on page 95 of the fourth ray, which is really an expounding of the verse, Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel, for us God suffices and he's the best disposer of affairs. So likewise, sufficient for me for perfection is my knowledge that God is absolutely perfect. Sufficient for me for perfection is my knowledge that my God is absolutely perfect. And whatever things there are in the universe which are perfect, they are signs of his perfection and indications of it. Whatever things there are in the universe which are perfect, they are signs of his perfection and indications of it. Yep, everyone seeks perfection. We may even call ourselves, oh, I'm a perfectionist, striving for perfection. But I think it's these experiences of really what is it that we need. Definitely, we are all in need of eternal perfection, because here we may experience some sort of perfection in the way the universe is, transitory and transient form, but we are in need of eternal perfection. And so just realizing and knowing that the source of my existence is the absolutely perfect one, that suffices me. I think this is very strong realization and awareness to live by, because it just helps us going on in our journey here to really fulfilling the purpose of our existence. And so whatever things there are in the universe which are perfect, everything is a sign to the perfect one, or it indicates a perfect one, because things in and of themselves are not perfect, but they are given a form or shape, or are acting perfectly harmoniously by one that's setting up the stage, who happens to be an absolutely perfect one. Alhamdulillah. Does anybody wants to make any additions here? All right. So let's move on to the next piece. Likewise, sufficient for me for perfection in myself is belief in God. Sufficient for me for perfection in myself is belief in God. Because for man, belief is the source of all perfections. SubhanAllah, this sounds wonderful. But I think we can unpack some more to feel more secure in our existence. Because obviously we are all striving for perfection, and even within ourselves, with every mistake that goes on, every moment, and all the mistakes that go on throughout the day. So obviously we are looking to perfect ourselves, and I guess just this need to fix ourselves, or really not making the mistakes, is recognizing that this need is not from me, but I'm given this need. So that's the one that's giving me existence, is letting me know that, I'm dependent in my existence. And so that helps me conclude a necessarily existent one, and that's really belief. And so belief is the source of all perfection, but that's it. That at the end of the day, that's what needs to be done. That's what our conclusions got to be, that there must be a necessarily existent one who is the absolute source of perfection that I seek and desire. Inshallah. Any comments from anybody? All right, alhamdulillah. Let's finish up with the last paragraph on page 95 of the third point. Likewise, sufficient for me for all my needs sought through the tongues of my various faculties is my God, my sustainer, and my creator, the giver of my form. His are the most beautiful names. He feeds me and he gives me to drink. He feeds me and he gives me to drink. May seem like a very, simple statement, but I think this is there's a huge message in it, where like, what feeds me at the end of the day, what's quenching my thirst at the end of the day. He nurtures, raises, administers, and perfects me. Ooh, I'm not perfecting anything by myself. So I may think that, okay, I recognize my mistake, I identified where I went wrong, and so now I'm gonna go this way. But this whole polishing that's happening within us is not our doing. It's being done onto us, it's bestowed onto us. Wow. He is limitless in glory, and his favors are comprehensive. Definitely limitless in glory. Reminds you of the Quranic verse. If the oceans were ink to write the name of your Rabb, surely the oceans would dry up. So how much can we praise is really not sufficient for all the experiences and and gifts and bounties that we are bestowed with. So definitely he is limitless in glory, and his favors are comprehensive. Interesting as well. Comprehensive means something that carries lots and lots of meaning. Just, you can take one paragraph from a very what do you call interesting, eloquent book, let's say. Just taking a paragraph, you can, if you're doing analysis of the paragraph, reading comprehension, let's say, I think we all are familiar with that growing up during our primary school education, then we realize that his favors are comprehensive in terms of how it's unending, it's rich, it's full of meaning and wisdom. So very interesting, all this. So just a little bit recapping this last paragraph. So sufficient for me, for all my needs, sought through the tongues of my various faculties, is my God, my sustainer and creator, the giver of my form. His are the most beautiful names. He feeds me and gives me to drink. He nurtures, raises, administers, and perfects me. He is limitless in glory, and his favors are comprehensive. So yeah, I think going back to how we started a discussion about we being a witness to recognizing the grandeur of life. So when I acknowledge my existence, it is as if I'm sending salutation to the source of my existence. It's a way of really witnessing the source of my existence. So my recognizing and identifying and expressing my needs are like salutations where I witness the grandeur of life. And so, yeah, I mean, we have endless needs, which are manifested through different shapes, forms, you name it. Everything has a tongue. Our hands also have a tongue. You want to do something good, you want to be helpful. So yeah, each of our faculty definitely is in need to recognize and witness his source of existence, inshallah. And that is it with the third point. Let's pause and see if anyone wants to make any sort of commentary. If you want to maybe express yourself out or ask a question, just like Ali Marmar raises his hand. Go for it, Ali Marmar.
Before closing, the time is up, I am aware, but I'm sorry, I just wanted to emphasize on the importance of the last phrase in the previous short paragraph we read. Belief is the source of all perfections. Now, of course, the text says whatever we see perfect in this world is due to God's perfection, but how about human perfection? For example, an animal, being an animal, living in this world and functioning as it is, if you like, automatically set up. It is his perfection. It is its perfection. So I respect that. I'm not expecting anything more than this, and maybe it appreciates God. That is up to it. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in, but what I know in what is going on in me, if I just really see this manifested, beautiful, perfect creations, everything is perfect in itself, not according to my expectations, but in and of itself, they are perfect, created in a perfect way. So they are pointing to the perfection of their creator. Okay, that's their functioning. I see that. How about my perfection? My perfection is not as simple as I see on the other beings, because I have more qualities. If I don't fulfill the purpose of the existence of my all qualities, I cannot say that as a result of my free choice and conscious, I fulfilled my purpose perfectly. So I am made up of body, life, and spirit. So consciousness, and also full of emotions, which needs to be accomplished. Now, through consciousness, I understand that I have to use, for example, the tomato example. I'm going back to the same example. So use the tomato for my body is okay, to sustain or to help sustain within the order of this universe my life. It is okay, although it is a means. It is a means. Not it is the sustainer of my life, but it's a means, tools, according to the order of this universe. So that is okay, function as well. If I don't let the tomato be wasted, if I don't waste it, if I don't let it rot and throw it away, etc., that is perfection. How about my human spirit? My human spirit is able, through consciousness, able to acknowledge the source of existence of all the qualities manifested in the tomato. Now, I understand the one who made it gave it existence, gave it life, gave it color, and decorated it, and filled with purposeful existence in order to, for example, give me some sort of nourishment, and it is form, and the way it comes into existence demonstrates that the creator of tomato must have absolute knowledge, absolute power, all the qualities must be absolute. These are, all we know so far. I have to acknowledge them in order to perfect my existence as accomplishing the requirements of the capacity of my spirit, which means responding back, acknowledging the qualities manifested in it, and returning and turning back to its creator, saying that you are the one who created this universe with your absolute power, knowledge, wisdom, etc. This completes the perfection of my duty in this world. So within this world, only through belief, this acknowledgement is called belief. Only through this belief and submission to the creator, and consciously obeying his order in physical form, in verbal form, that is details, so not our subject, makes me or enables me to fulfill the purpose of my life perfectly. Without belief, we are not really reaching perfection, always lacking something, so we have to work for it. The belief is not also a static thing, saying that I have a creator. No, every action must be accompanied with acknowledgement, returning back and speaking back, addressing back to the creator. You are the one who did this, you are the one who made me happy, etc., etc. That is belief. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair for emphasizing on this great point. So definitely using our experiences and analysis of several events that we go through or really experiencing the universe, we should be able to seek perfection only when we acknowledge the source of our existence. So that would be perfection and reaching perfection in myself when I am acknowledging the source of my existence. So yeah, without belief, I cannot seek perfection. Yeah, alhamdulillah, that makes perfect sense. Thank you very much. Any last comment from anybody? Okay, alhamdulillah, this was a very excellent discussion piece from this author. The third point, alhamdulillah, was very beneficial. Inshallah, to all of us, maybe live with the awareness of what constitute our belief and to staying in acknowledgement of the source of our existence. Inshallah, next Saturday we can pick up from the fourth point. And thank you all again for joining us in Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Glory be unto you. We have no knowledge save except that which you've taught us. Indeed, you are all knowledgeable, all wise. Wa akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bi hurmati sirri surat al-Fatiha. Ameen.